Welcome to another episode of Journeys of Not So Ordinary People. How are you doing, Dr. Joe Hamlett?
I am doing excellent, Dr. Dave Peltz. How are you doing?
Most excellent. Thank you for asking. Today, we're going to talk about success, and specifically what our definitions of success are. And when I say what our definitions of success, we mean what is your definition of success? So we're going to talk about how we interpret our definitions of success or definition of success as individuals. Dr. Joe, what are your thoughts?
So that's one of those terms that, if we step outside of ourselves and we start to compare ourselves to other people, compare ourselves to, those successful people, then I think we start to try and alter our definition for success. And so in the past, that's a lot of what I did. I would compare myself to people, of similar, standing in me, where they are in their careers, things like that. And I would really try to, compare myself to them. And in a lot of cases, I would, be down on myself because I'm thinking I should be at that level, I should be there. But what I've learned in recent years, especially, is the fact that my level of success is not your level of success or anybody else's level of success. So now that I embrace that, I feel more comfortable with, what I think is success. So for me, a lot of people could look at, or in your case too, in some regard, being a doctor, reaching the highest level in the military, being an author, all those things are levels of success. But I didn't, this past 17-year journey for me, or 16 years, whatever it is, that wasn't really what I was seeking to do, or to, that wasn't the way I validated my success, that I achieved all these goals. But it was more about me setting a goal for myself, applying myself, working toward those goals, and then achieving those goals. That was my level of success, that, I applied my, commitment to those things, and I was able to achieve them. Not because somebody else was doing it, or not because somebody else said that would be success, but it was my definition of success, that I reached these goals. Again, not starting out even with any of these goals to achieve these things, but along the way, at those particular points in time, was to set that goal for myself, and then to achieve those goals. That's my level of success. Not necessarily, again, comparing myself to anybody else, but I define what was success to me. And it may not have ended with a doctorate degree or being achieved, but it was more, I set my goal to achieve this. I did it. That's my success. Then I set another goal. I did it. I completed it. That's my success. So
Yeah.
Again,
it's a lot about perspective. I mean, and within
right.
perspective, we can start thinking about locus of control, and that's a term that's out there and available to look up. But there's two basic pieces of it: internal locus of control and external locus of control. An external locus of control says that things outside of my control my environment, versus an internal locus of control says I'm taking responsibility and I own the results and the outcomes. One of the things I remember in the military was, there was the occasion, being late for work, and it's like, oh, well, the weather was bad. Oh, there was a train. Oh, there was an accident. Oh, I got pulled over, for going too fast. That's an external locus of control. It's always because of something else, versus saying,
Right.
I own that. I should have left 5 minutes or 10 minutes earlier, or I should have looked at the weather channel, or I should have, gone online or taken a look at the weather outside, or, maybe altered my route because there's construction. That's how you own something. So perspective is a big piece of success. And to your point, your success is not necessarily someone else's success, even though you've achieved the same goal. Like
Right.
my doctorate degree and your doctorate degree are two different perspectives of success for us. You know, when I started in the military, I got the GI Bill as a backup plan, as an investment of maybe someday I will use that and I will need it and maybe I won't. And as I went through the military, I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to get a degree. That was my first term. The second time I was in, I was like, well, maybe I will. And the third time I was in the military, I was like, I'm definitely getting a college degree. I've seen what it's like on the outside. I know what it's like on the inside. A degree for me was never going to hurt me. It was just a level of effort on whether I was going to set that goal and achieve that goal and be successful at it. And Joe, you and I have talked before. I was not the best student in high school, far from it. I'm not even going to go down that path, but viewers, trust me when I say I barely graduated high school. When I achieved my bachelor's degree, that was something I never ever thought I was going to attain. And if I would have compared myself at that moment that I walked across that stage in 2003, it's just, I'm getting tingles right now just remembering what it felt like, because thousands, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people have their bachelor's degree. But if you never dreamed of getting a college degree or achieving a huge goal and you achieve that goal, it does change your perspective on what you can accomplish in life. And it did. It solidified what that I can set out to achieve a goal. I can set a goal and I can achieve that goal. And that perspective of success and the feeling of success is just one of the greatest feelings that you can possibly have. You know, maybe your definition of success is having a house or a car, or maybe it's having kids or having that dream job, whatever that job is. You know, maybe it's working for a government entity. Maybe it's working for a big corporate corporation. Maybe it's working for a different company. Maybe it's working for a person because they're a great leader in your eyes. You know, there's different
or it
views
could
of
even
success.
be you starting your own business.
Yeah.
But you said it's that perspective of what you think of as success, not anybody else's version of what they believe is success.
Yeah.
So I think you made a very relevant point when you said, you know, look at how many people have a bachelor's degree, and you know, in today's society, a lot of people view it as that's just a you know, accelerated or
but if you're the
elevated
first
high
person in
school
your
diploma.
family,
You're right, but that's where I was
that's a
going.
completely different perspective.
Exactly, because my dad never graduated high school, and so for me to walk across the stage, even for my high school diploma, my dad had tears in his eyes because he didn't reach that goal, and he was able to see me do that. So you're right. Growing up in a family where education was not, you know, really spoke about or even talked about, then that does become huge when, you know, you're the first one to graduate from college and things like that. So,
Or maybe you go into the military, your goal is to be in the military. And I can recall being in the military, being in basic training, and a couple of the guys being a little overweight, and they were saying, man, it took me X number of months just to get to a certain level of fitness so I could
right.
be accepted
To
in the
even get in,
military,
right.
to even get in. And then, you know, to make rank in the military, oh, I had to do these things in order to do that. And it's like, for some people, that is a very real and tangible and challenging goal, to achieve a rank or
Right.
to get a home or to get a job or to complete high school or to get a car or to have children or to live in a certain city or state or geographic region, or to take a trip. I mean, anything that we can imagine can be a goal for someone,
Right.
and
And
probably
that
is
could
or
be
has
their
been.
level of success.
That can be their level of success.
Exactly. So, you know, when we talk about success, that's a challenging part of it, because again, my idea of success or vision of success may be totally different than yours. So like you said, we both have a doctorate degree, but you know, even our reasons for going or attaining or trying to complete a doctorate degree was different. So our levels of success may appear to be similar because we reached the same goal, but to get there and the reasons why, it is still all, up to us to figure that
Yeah.
out and to,
And I'm going to pull this thread even further, Joe. For our viewers and our colleagues that are from other countries, who have grown
right,
up in much less significant circumstances than people have the benefit of in the United States. There's, and I'm not diminishing anything, there's poor in the United States, then there's poor in other countries.
right,
And it's a very humbling experience. I grew up poor. There were people that were much less poor than I was when I was growing up. But visiting another country and seeing what poor looks like there, completely different perspective. I mean,
oh,
my definition
absolutely,
of poor and me being
yeah,
poor was essentially an upper class for a lot of those people that were poor in another country. And it's like, they didn't have shoes. They didn't have hand-me-down clothes. They didn't know where their next meal was coming from. And my
right,
definition of
yeah,
poor was, us living paycheck to paycheck, living on food stamps, having hand-me-down, second, third cousin, hand-me-downs for my cousins. That was poor to me. But poor to some people is not knowing where they're getting clean drinking water, whether they're getting their next meal, where they're sleeping, if they're going to be able to find something to put on their feet or on their bodies to stay warm at night. So we have to understand that our perspectives are just that, our perspective.
right,
So our
right,
perspective of success can be completely different from someone else, especially coming from a different country or a different background. Becoming a US citizen may be their goal. And
right,
and
right,
I've known people that was their goal or their parents' goal, and that their goal is now to take their life and do something better and to do that one step better. To your point, your dad didn't graduate high school. You wanted to do something to make him proud and be better and to better yourself. So what is that next level that we can take? It varies completely among every
oh,
person that's out
absolutely.
there.
Well, because if you think of it in that terms, then what should my expectation be for my kids? If we talk about, I made it all the way to a doctor, so now should I expect them to have two doctors? And that's not the case.
And that's
That's
not the
not
case.
what I
Their journey
expected
is
them.
not our journey.
Absolutely, and
And
that's
that's
the
the
point
point.
I'm making. Yeah,
Yeah.
that even though I've reached, and somebody even asked me that question, you set the bar really high for my kids, and my response to that was, no, I didn't set this bar for them. I want them to be successful in their own right, in their own mind. For them, if it's finishing, a high school diploma and becoming an artist, that's their goal. That's their success story, not mine. So yeah, I did set the bar, in terms of
Well,
what
yeah,
I
you
what I
you have
achieved, but
expectations, but you didn't
right,
set their
but
goals for them.
exactly. I didn't say, "Hey, you're gonna have to do one up me."
Mhm.
That wasn't the plan. It's still, our goal for them is to be the best they can be, and so whatever their level of success is, we're happy with that. So, yeah, that's also the perspective. Like you say, I did, and again, starting this though, when I finished and walked across stage as a high school graduate, at that time, that was it for me. But, like I said, my dad was proud of me, and that was it. I was excited about the fact that I was able to for him to see me graduate as a high school graduate. But um, now that I've gotten to this level, yes, I know he would be proud of me, but that wasn't it, that I got to be better than my dad. It was just the fact that at that time, that was the level that I thought success was. But again, over the years, it has changed. So it is all about the perspective. It is all about the experience. That you yourself it is still, you define what that means to you, not allowing those outside you know, influences to make you change what success means to you. That's the important thing, is your definition of success. It should be different than other people. It may align, it may not, and that's okay. So that's what I think we really need to focus on. Again, people understanding your success is yours.
Yeah.
If you're happy, with where you are and that's your level of success, nobody should complain about that. Nobody should be concerned with that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think we get caught up again when we see the things around us. We compare ourselves, and that's when we start to take away from what our level
Yeah,
of success is, and we
yeah.
start to try and redefine it.
And
And
we
that's
can pull
where,
this into we can go down the path of personal success. There are people out there, colleagues, we've experienced some of these things so far as reorganizing and job loss and that sort of thing. But then
right,
there's other facets that, I can't really fathom because I haven't been there. I can, sympathize to a degree and empathize to a degree because I've known people. But I mean, some people suffer with addiction. Some people suffer
right,
with, PTSD or other trauma. And success may be just waking up and making it through the day
right.
or through the
Yeah,
hour. So we have to be very conscious not to judge other people's definition of success when they say,
right,
"Oh, I graduated high school." And some people might think, "Okay, so what? I've got this and I've done that."
right, right.
Well, maybe it took every ounce of energy
Yeah,
they could to get there because of what they'd struggled with and their journeys in their life. And that's really where we start understanding about what success is and perspective is the journeys that people have taken to get there. There's a lot to be said about having a good network and being able to not reinvent the wheel to get to your goal and be successful. But there's also, fortunately and unfortunately, the long scenic route can have its benefits too.
right,
I mean,
right,
because there are certain things that you're going to learn from experiencing those pains and trials and tribulations and successes from doing things on your own. The long scenic
absolutely.
route,
Yeah,
the depth and clarity and the richness of those experiences that you wouldn't get going the quicker, more direct route. And I'm not a proponent of either one necessarily because we're all individuals. And I can honestly say that had I not taken the long scenic route on a lot of my, goals and successes and the more direct route, a lot of them, it wouldn't, I would not be the person I am today because of it. And same for you. You would not be the person you are
absolutely,
today because of
absolutely.
the choices and the journeys that you've taken. And the same holds true for other people that we're talking to, that are watching and listening to this podcast. We're never going to judge you based upon your journeys and your choices. We only want to be there for you to help you celebrate your successes and offer guidance. And that's really what it's about. When you seek out a coach and mentor for being successful, whatever success is to you, you have to understand what your journey is, what you've done to accomplish it. And again, celebrate those little pieces, those little successes as you go along, because that's ultimately what's going to lead to that big success. Those weekly assignments in school are going to equate to the completion of a course, and those completions of X number of courses is going to get you that degree. So you can say
Right.
the same thing about anything in life. It's
So,
just,
Dave, I'm gonna throw a wrench in this whole thing about success, and we all should be concerned more with our version of success, nobody else's. So, what do you do when you encounter an individual? As you said, somebody may say, I have a high school diploma," and that other person may look down on them, or they may think, "Oh, that's you're lower than me." How do people respond to that, or how should they respond to that? Because me and you both know, and we both experienced it. You know, 1% of the people that join the military. There's only 1% of the population that joins the military in the U.S. There's only 1% or 1 to 2% doctors. So how do you relate that journey to those people who have not had that experience?
that is a
Because again, you
great
talked about
question, Joe.
99% of the people have not experienced those things. So what do you do about that? Because in your eyes, in our eyes, that's a level of success. But if you haven't achieved it, then you don't know enough, or that's my opinion about it. Is
Yeah,
it's a challenge to
it is
relate
that's
that.
a very challenging perspective. And to
Yes,
that, when I talk to people and they say, well, I've done this and I've done that, and it's like, well, that's great. Maybe I want to do something similar, maybe I don't. And when they say, oh, but you've only done that, well, yes, but let me share why that's important to me. And then that's my opportunity to be vulnerable, to share with them the things I'm comfortable with on why that journey was important to me and why getting a high school diploma was important or a success for me. You know,
Right.
when you find out your senior year in high school that you're two classes short of graduating, that you're not going to graduate with your class, and you were under the impression that you were on track, that's a little bit of a wake-up call. So what did I do to make sure I was successful at that goal? And I did certain things to achieve that goal so I could graduate on time. I did not graduate with an A average. Like I mentioned before, I
Right.
barely
Right.
graduated high school, but I graduated. So sharing your perspectives and some of the challenges that you've had on your journeys to reach your level of success, I believe helps other people understand why that's important to you. And if they don't understand it, well, then, you know, there's the adage, you can't please everyone,
Right. Right.
and some people just will never get it. And that's just the sad truth. Some people just won't get the it behind your success and what it took for you and why it was so difficult for you and why it was so easy for them, or why it was a non-issue to them but an issue for us. So being vulnerable, trusting in the moment, trusting your gut, sharing what you're comfortable sharing to help people understand why your success is an important step for you, or that why that achievement was important to you, is a step towards helping them understand. And either they'll get it or they won't. They'll appreciate it or they won't. And to me,
And
that's just, it is what it is.
and that was kind of where I was going with it, that we shouldn't feel obligated to, we should attempt to help them understand it, but at the same time, all of our journeys are different, so our idea of success is not going to match somebody else's. So that was the point I wanted to make, was just that, we all have our own definition of success. So like you said, you go through the motions of, if you feel that that's even necessary. In a lot of
Yeah.
cases, you shouldn't have to do that. But
You
if
shouldn't
that's
have
the
to
case,
defend yourself.
yeah, if you feel like you want to do that, you want to offer that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, as long as you're happy with your success, that's all that counts. That's all that matters. So that was, I just wanted to throw that in there, just again, because I know some people may be listening or watching and say, well, I believe this is the level of success, but that may not be the case for everyone. So just keeping that in mind, that, no matter what you think your level of success is, it may not be what somebody else's is.
Yeah.
So just being
Their journey
open
is not
to
your
it.
journey, and our journey is not
Absolutely.
their journey. And what we have to go
Absolutely.
through may be 10 or 100 or 1,000-fold what they had to do to achieve the same end result, and vice
Right.
versa.
Right.
Maybe something that was easy for us is difficult for them. Maybe something that's easy for
Right.
them is difficult for us. It just depends. We're all people,
Right.
we're all individuals. And to your point that you made earlier on, we need to make a conscious effort not to compare ourselves to other people for
Yep.
measuring success. And again, I'm guilty of that. I think to myself,
Right.
wow, I should be further along. I should be, having this many more books, this many more publications, this many more shows, this many more, interviews, this many
Right.
more, I
Right.
should have this many companies, this much money, this many houses, whatever. But that's my journey to figure out, not someone
Right.
else. And
Right. Absolutely.
maybe their starting point was much higher or much different from mine, that facilitated or enabled their experiences to be what they are. And it
Right.
is what it is. Again, if we want to put in 20 hours a day, 7 days a week to achieve a goal, then that's our journey to achieve our goal. But
Right.
if we're not willing to do that, then we need to be understanding with ourselves as individuals, again, critical self-reflection, to say what's realistic for me to attain, or to do to achieve those goals that I want to achieve.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Again, our level of success, or our definition for success, is going to be different. It should be
Mhm.
different because, again, like you said, we all travel down different paths. We all experience different things, and it's going to be relative to your perspective. So, again, if you've never been poor, then it's very difficult for you to understand the travels that, somebody from that level of poverty has come up from. So I just, this is one of those kind of a difficult topic in some ways, just because, again,
Complex, yeah.
some people's version of success is not going to be the same as others, and sometimes people are judged because of that. So um, we just want you to realize that whatever your definition of success is, and like Dave said, if you've done a critical self, reflection, and you're happy with where you are and your levels of success, whatever that means, then that's all that matters, or should matter. But we shouldn't be comparing ourselves. We shouldn't be downing ourselves because we're not reaching, like you said, I don't have this, I don't have that. But is that your definition or somebody else's definition, or society's definition?
I think we need to always be careful or cognizant of what we ask for. And I say that because we were watching a show the other night, and there was this celebrity pro athlete or former pro athlete, extremely successful pro athlete. I mean, that's the top of your field, right? When you become a pro athlete, that's it. Well, then this person, they became very successful. They became a pro athlete. They're in a very elite group of individuals to achieve that status of success. Went on to discuss their challenges with addiction, drug addiction. And, so you think, wow, here's this pro athlete, or here's this entertainer, or here's this billionaire or trillionaire, or this musician, or this actor, or this business person, or this whatever, that's successful. But if you tell me, Dave, you can be a pro athlete, but once you hit the peak of your career, you're going to suffer through addiction, drug addiction, I'm going to be like, wow, I'm not so sure I want that measure of success, and I'm not saying that everybody at that level encounters that, but this particular individual did. And it's like, what kind of struggles did they have to go through after that? And then how did their perspective of success change? They're already a pro athlete, and then they suffered through addiction. Well, I don't know how they got there, but now their measure of success is being sober, or being clean for X number of months, or weeks, or days, or hours, or years. So success can change. Your perspective and definition of success can absolutely change over time. And that's okay. And you should be able to adapt to it, because if you become a pro athlete, for instance, in one sport, for you to be successful, you have to be a pro athlete in 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 other sports? Or is it a monetary amount? Is it a prestige? Is it, what then becomes your measure of success? Or is that the pinnacle, and then you just retire and spend the rest of your days doing DIY projects and putting tile in your bathroom? I don't know. I mean,
but
what's
again,
your definition of success?
But like you said, it changes though. They get to that level, that pinnacle. In our case, we become doctors. We can't go any higher than this. So do we stop? We pack it all up and just now retire, like you just said? No. Now we align on some other type of goal that we set for ourselves, and then so now that becomes our new measure of success. What, it could be this podcast. If this podcast, becomes big, that's a new level of success in our eyes, could be. Or we do something different. Like you said, even if it's, doing your tile, if you become, and not that you're going to go sell it or start to install it, but in your eyes, you complete your bathroom, you complete your kitchen, in your eyes, that's a level of success. So it becomes relative to what goals you set for yourself, whether you determine whether that's success to you. So yeah, that athlete reached that highest level of the sport. Does that mean that they're successful in everything they do in life? No. So that it becomes relative, because now they're no longer that sports athlete, that superstar, or whatever it is. Now they got to choose another level of success for them, which again is that self-reflection. What's next for me? Then writing down the goals. Where am I going to go? How am I going to get there? And then that becomes their new challenge or level for success. So like you just said, it's all relevant to your perspective, the experiences you've had, how to, so all those things are going to change more than likely. Because once you get to that goal, then like you said, do you pack it up, or do you set another goal for yourself and then measure yourself on the success?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, we're about out of time. I think that was a great summary, a great way to wrap up the show. What a great note to end on. Um, as usual, we could talk about this stuff for hours and days. I'm sure the listeners would not appreciate that as we roll on for forever. So we'll keep this
Right.
one, keep this one where it's at, and call it a good show. So until next time, to our viewers and listeners, keep on being your not so ordinary you.
All right.